how do you think this happened?
Well, you're really putting me on the spot here. Huh?
Well, that's what we do on the show. We talk about the real deal, and this is just your opinion.
Right. Well, so how the decisions are made that regulate the use of pesticides, or I guess we could talk about any industry, but the people that are manufacturing this stuff and the people that are making a living doing it are arguing their case, and clearly they're doing a better job than we are at arguing that these things are safe and need to be introduced.
Yeah. Well,
how deep is your pocket?
Right.
And how much money can you invest in the lobbying effort and the influence peddling to get your point across?
Yeah. Well, education is key, and that's one of the things that, that's why we do this show. We've had Jeffrey Smith on here, who's probably one of the most knowledgeable people in the world on genetically modified food, and others. And, it really is about education, Larry, because some people just don't know or don't want to know. What's in their food, and again, as Jeffrey said, we can't fight, the Monsantos and the Cargills, because they have so much money. The way that we can create a tipping point is by education and just not buying their products.
Certainly, that's a beginning step for making a strong political statement. I'm an optimist, and I believe in people, and deep down, I've got to believe that the individuals working in the different companies that are manufacturing these products believe they're doing the right thing, and I think you're absolutely right that education and better understanding is the key to moving the planet to a safer and better place for all of us. And that includes all those scientists, the policymakers, and administrators in these big companies. Because as they have the potential for doing great harm, and I wish to believe that they're not doing it. It's not something that they believe they're doing intentionally. That they're doing something. I can't believe that they think they're knowingly doing something that's causing harm. I got to believe that they think they're not. But that education and understanding of what we're doing and the long-term ramifications and the externality cost becomes better understood by everybody, and so that those individuals making the management decisions in these companies begin to make better decisions so they're better for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting what you're saying, that they don't mean to be doing harm, and I think that's probably true. I watched a really interesting documentary called The Corporation, and it brought out that point that corporations are made up of people that are usually very kind and very responsible in their personal lives, but that corporations are generally, they are required by law to place their profits above anything else. And
right, that problem of being human economicists instead of human beings who have endowed with compassion and understanding and generosity. Mm-hmm. It's not part of the makeup of a corporation.
Right. And
corporations, for the most part, don't have hearts. And I think that the individuals in corporations, can have a heart, but there is a bottom line. And there is, I think there's an agenda at a very top level. There are people that are working for corporations that may not consciously know that their products are harmful, but I think ultimately the guys at the top do.
Yeah, well,
I just do. My opinion.
I don't have any way of knowing that one way or another, but I would certainly argue that the profit motive, the drive to be more profitable, skews judgment and creates problems.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that happens regardless of how big or small the company is. Mm-hmm. It happens for individuals. The case in point, somebody who robs a bank.
Yeah.
So,
but again, I don't think it does us any good to be pointing our fingers and going, they're the bad guys, they're the bad guys, they're the bad guys. So what? All we can do is take steps to either say, no, we're not going to buy this, or no, we're not going to accept this. And because the pointing the fingers and the judgment, that doesn't do a thing. It doesn't change anything. Again,
and certainly work to gaining better understandings of the issues, becoming better educated,
right,
and working to have more and more people have an in-depth understanding of the problems, the issues, and the science of these things that we're talking about.
Right.
That's got to be the way to get there.
Right, and educating our children too in that regard. We've had people on the show before that have talked about, getting your kids involved with where does your food come from, how is it grown, and having them be involved in that whole process rather than thinking that food just comes out of a can or a box. To really educate our children. I think that's very important.
Absolutely.
And
so one thing Sandra and I, my wife and I are both very enheartened by is to see this new crop of young people coming into the workplace who are enthusiastic about food, care about where their food comes from, and getting involved in the growing of food for people to eat. And we're seeing, we've just hired a couple of young people and had a whole slate of people apply for the job, all very enthusiastic, bright, energetic, young individuals who have a level of awareness that seemed was remarkable. Mm-hmm. About our food system, about how food's grown, about the importance of soil, about the importance of creating an environment where life flourishes instead of a place, farms where that's built on the paradigm of killing pests, the paradigm of creating good habitats for insects. And it's just, 20, 30 years ago, you just didn't have that.
Yeah.
So there's certainly some good things happening at the same time that we're facing lots of new problems.
And I think it's important to talk about that. And we are going to take a break. And in this final segment, let's talk about what people can do, how they can get involved, how they can educate their children, what the small farmer can do, and really end this show on a positive note of how we can make a difference. You are listening to Food Integrity Now with Larry Jacobs. Welcome back to Food Integrity Now. We've been talking with Larry Jacobs. Larry's an organic farmer that won an appellate court case regarding cross-contamination. And Larry, during this last segment, I would like to talk about, let's end this on a positive note of what your take is. First of all, for small farmers, do you have any advice or anything you want to say to somebody that has a small organic farm about what they can do regarding cross-contamination or just any other type local advice?